1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. Okay, back to this hellish fucking story once again. Okay, where was I? I am not. Ashley protested, teary-eyed on shaky legs. He let go of the doorway and crept forwards. I'm not, believe me. Look in my eyes, Daddy. I ain't lying. Okay, I think it's fireworks. I keep hearing all these popping outside. He was afraid to approach the captain, but down on his knees he went to speak to him face to face. He went down on his knees to speak to him face to face? What do you fucking mean? And lay all his evidence clearly before the older man. Sheena was wriggling in the hay with his hands bound and unable to make sound. Almost more than the captain, Ashley watched him and feared him. Worried he might kick or do something wild. His face had gone red, ready to break in some way or another the first chance he got. Ashley leaned away from him and knelt in the dry prickles on the captain's other side. He, like Sheena had done before, held up the palms of his hands, but this from him had none of Sheena's boldness. His head was bowed, shy, and ashamed. The captain's eyebrows raised. For dragged on moments, there was silence. Just like this fucking story is dragging on. Just Sheena's rapid breathing, and from out in the field, Ashley could swear he heard the singing of a bird. The palms of Ashley's hands were not only slippery and shined with sweat, but as yellow as slugs, and on top of this, as if it were not enough, gray splotches were beginning to form. A sure sign, the captain knew, that this baby-faced boy had been infected longer than any of the others. I keep not blocking that light. He let go of Sheena and gave the Spaniard a mild push away from himself. He judged right. Sheena took a swipe at him with one hand, but from the sudden distance between them, from his staggering, he only hit the humid air. Pig! Sheena hissed at him. He spit into the hay, wanting to rid his mouth of the dust and dirt and steel of the captain's grip. He looked to the captain, then out at Ashley, and back. Once again, this back and forth looking. Poor Ashley. Simply scowling, he snatched his pants up from the ground with one hand, his boots with the other, and darted out quickly back into the sun, out of sight. Okay, so I don't know what the captain was doing when he fucking pulled his pants off. I don't think he was gonna rape him. I think what was going on, if I remember correctly, was that he was gonna pull his, he just wanted to look between his legs, basically, to see if he had an STD or some bullshit. That's what I fucking remember. Feel like they probably could've, I feel like there's probably, better ways of doing that, but this story is clearly, like I just said, this is not in the realm of reality that we know. This is not even the Twilight Zone. This is the porn zone. This is just a dramatic, hellish fucking world where everyone overreacts and freaks out constantly, and they're all supposed to be crazy, by the way. This is supposed to be like a fucking nut, an alternative to the nut house, basically. So everyone's fucking out of their minds, and they kind of have a right to be out of their minds because they are living with this abusive asshole. But like I said, this is apparently an S&M porn story from way back when. So where was I? The captain sighed. He shook his head briefly, first watching Sheena run off, half naked, although his battered t-shirt was almost long enough to cover him up. Next, when he was sure that the man was gone, he turned back to Ashley, and the air was silent again. His jaw was hard, but all he did was sigh. "Oh, Ash," he mumbled, and with difficulty pressed one hand delicately through the boy's daffodil hair. You know better. So he's nice to Ashley. I guess because Ashley came willingly and fucking confessed or whatever. Then Robert E. Lee could be all gentle towards him, but he was slapping the fucking shit out of Jacob, or Jakob, whatever his name was. For all of the man's softness, Ashley was still shaking. "I'm sorry," he murmured. "I'm sorry, I didn't know." "You do know," the captain barked at him. But you know what? Even this might be an alternate crazy house story, but they can still fuck, apparently. So, can you do that in a regular crazy house? No, I doubt it. Then, unable to keep his anger contained for that, Ashley flinched from him again. Again, the captain sighed, this time almost like a growl, and stood up haggardly onto his feet. "Come here," he muttered to the boy, darkly and low. Ashley gave no response, but he didn't have to. The captain didn't wait for him to. Bending his knees again, he grabbed the boy under his armpits and wrenched him to his feet. Stand, will you?" he growled under his breath when Ashley's ankles went limp and he swayed on the barn floor on weak legs in the captain's grip. "I know you can stand, don't you dare fake at me." Ashley's face was towards the ground, keeping one hand to hold him up. He took the other hand under Ashley's chin. Oh God, not this. Grabbed him by the jaw and turned his head upwards. He didn't have to try and pry Ashley's eyes open to see what he wanted. The boy had them already wide, dilated in the shade of the barn, staring and begging forgiveness. The captain's eyes passed over his short nose and the speck of black birthmark on his lip, straight to his eyes, where the gray irises looked damp and soggy. The whites of his eyes were bloodshot pink, and where pink should be, there was a sickly yellow-orange tint. So he has something wrong with his liver, I guess, because he's looking kind of jaundiced-y. The captain, I think it's supposed to be like that. The captain growled again, and quickly let go of his face, letting the boy's head flop limp again towards the ground. The two of them, after that, could be seen wandering out of the barn, the captain with Ashley by the collar, the boy leaning up against him, and the two of them wandering together away down the other side of the hill to where his truck was parked. Okay, and when he said he has Ashley by the collar, I know he means the collar of like his t-shirt or something, but given the world that this is in, I wouldn't be surprised if it was like a fucking actual dog collar. Alright, so congratulations to this disturbing fucking shit to being the first, oh, I'm only 7 minutes in? Well, I don't know. No, I don't want to go too much further. But anyways, I'm on chapter 2. Chapter 2 is called Water. Congratulations to this fucking crazy-ass weird fucking story for being the first notebook off my stack of notebooks. I finished all the middle school short stories and all their crappiness. But, I mean, at least those are like, I don't know, those are at least stories where the whole purpose of them is to tell a story. This, I can already tell, the purpose of this is not to tell a story. I don't think there's any story in here. This is all just a bunch of pornographic shit. And I'm going to read the whole thing. I'm going to read the whole fucking thing. And we're going to see what it's like. But, yeah. I don't remember really writing this. I remember it a little bit. I remember the part where Gessie was up on the fence. But I don't remember shit of the rest of it. I'm only at 9 minutes. Maybe I'll read like the first 2 pages of Water and then see where I'm at. "Come here," the captain growled. He had his tight grip solid on Flyer's hair, but Flyer managed to still wrench away from his grip. There they knelt on the kitchen floor. Flyer was forced to the ground, almost laying down with his head on the captain's knee. He coughed violently, spitting out water onto the dirty tiles, and then panted the air into his lungs, desperate for breath. Again, frustrated, the captain took up his plastic bottle of water. God, this is what's going on. Little was left in it, and most of it had splashed onto the slippery floor or onto his jeans and shoes. Awkwardly and stumbling, he tried with one hand to both pry Flower's mouth open and force the lip of the bottle between his teeth. I'm just waiting for, like, something to happen in this story that's so fucking awful that I, like, refuse to read it. But when he did, Flyer went from looking beaten and limp to wriggling frantically, and it was near impossible. Like frightened pigeons, the other men stood against the kitchen cabinets. Oh, so there's an audience this time. They're all watching this shit happen. This reminds me of those porn videos where it's like a bunch of fucking schoolgirls, and then like they put one of them, everyone's gathered around and they're like, here's class presentation today, and then they like pull one random girl out of the crowd and like put her on the table and make her go on like all fours and then fucking like pull her underwear off. Then go from there, you know. This is like that basically. This is awful. Let me see. The other men stood against the kitchen cabinets, the stove, every corner of that half of the filthy little room. As if it wasn't crowded enough with the rickety table, empty dishes scattered on the top and threatening to crash down when one of Flyer's panicked kicks hit it. They didn't even put away their dishes before doing this, huh? Alright. A dozen young men at one time was not what this kitchen was built to hold. But still, like sheep, they pressed tight to one another and shuffled from foot to foot, cringing, shifting, wincing, turning their heads. They would not cross the captain. Furious now, he threw down his empty wet bottle on the floor with an audible snap as it bounced off the linoleum and rolled away. He slapped Flyer sharply in the cheek, and from the corner of his eye he could see most of the others flinch or shift back, and yet he made careful sure not to hit Flyer near where he had been hurt, where earlier the farmhand's glasses had snapped, and the wire cut a short gash along the side of his nose. All congealed blood now, but still red. Flyer coughed again, shaking involuntarily. He didn't want to lean on the captain, but one hand on the older man's knee at the moment was all he could make do with to steady himself. "Stop it, man," he half pleaded, half coughed. Without his glasses, his eyes slightly unfocused. He shut them. "You're drowning me here. You're gonna drown me." "Shut up," the captain barked. "Get yourself quiet, you half-brained git. You wouldn't be drowning if you had just drank." A little waterboarding in the morning. The man gave an angry huff, and then sharply turned his head in the direction of the others, who again shuffled warily on their feet like hens. They eyed him, some of them. The rest of them averted their faces away. "Goldie, get your hands off your ears," he snapped. "And Gessie," he snapped now at a lanky, rail-thin brunette who had his... Oh, this is a short chapter. It's only 2 more pages. Who had his hands up over his face. "Are you crying?" "Quit crying. Cut that out." The captain growled through his teeth. Taking hold of Flyer by the arms, he lowered him slowly to the floor so he could remain lying while the captain rose to his feet. He glared at them all, and even the most defiant of the farmhands' expressions began to look more and more avoidant. "You all know better," he shouted at the group. "I've had pretty damn well enough of all your stupidity, tramping around like a bunch of bareback whores. You ain't even got the decency to remember your socks, and you forget to bring water when you're out in the field. What in hell do I clothe you and feed you all for? Even the damn house cat, and that's the most useless animal God put on this forsaken earth." Robert E. Lee, how can you do cats like that? He knows how to drink water when he needs it. Actually, you know what the funny thing is? A lot of cats don't drink enough water, and they wind up having problems with their kidneys, and that's why some cat owners like me feed them wet food mixed with water, so that they can just... that makes them have water, you know? But that's a side note. The captain paused to catch his breath, and when he spoke again it was a bit more calm, but still came out like a fierce growl. "What would the court rep say if he walked up right now and saw you all looking like a batch of wild apes?" What would the court rep say if he came on this farm and saw all this rampant abuse that's going on? I don't know, Robert E. Lee, what would he say? Saw you all looking like a batch of wild apes. What would he think of the job I'm doing? So he just cares about how I reflect on him. You know what he'd do? He'd take my license so fast. He'd say I'm running a circus here instead of a farm, and he'd send you all back to where you came from. Every last one of you. They all cringed and at that threat. He could see it, and in the pause of silence then, Gessie's muffled crying, the little whimpers, seemed to be the loudest sound in the room. Jakob, as subtle as he could, slipped his arms around the thin man and pulled him nearer. Sheena, don't you roll your eyes at me, the captain said then sharply, but not really shouting anymore. You think that attitude is going to get you anywhere in your next home, huh? Sheena's eyes were glossy and his jaw went hard with anger, but he managed to stay silent and just turned his head away. As long as I make myself clear, the captain said. All right, all of you get back to work and take some water for God's sake. Okay. The guy was thirsty, so he was like waterboarding him. Not really, but like, just, why can't he just hand him the bottle of water? Be like, here, you seem thirsty. Here's some water for you to drink. Holy shit, the next chapter is called Enid. Just like that character from the other story. We got a little bit of crossover here, I think. Unless it's a different Enid, but I kind of feel like it's probably the same one because all these characters are characters I used to roleplay as, okay? This is just basically a roleplay roll call. And yeah, but you know, I gotta say something is that given the fact that this is a nonsensical, parallel universe fucking porn story with rampant abuse and clearly S&M vibes or whatever the fuck. At least, you know, I was clearly serving myself because, you know, spoilers, I don't know what you call this, TMI, something, I don't know, personal spoilers. I don't like straight porn. I pretty much only like gay porn. I have seen straight porn, a lot of it, but I don't like it. It's just like, there is a stupid chick whining and acting like a fucking baby while her asshole gets stretched, like, across the entire ocean, you know? And it's just like, I'm just not into it. It's clearly that I was just serving myself and being like, hey, if all these fucking stupid asshole porn star females are gonna act like a bunch of babies and whine and cry and put on a big fucking stupid show where they're like, and then they pretend to fight, but it's just like, and they act like total fucking, not even real little kids, because real little kids can whoop some ass sometimes, pound for pound, you know. I remember being a little kid, I remember wanting to be taken seriously and being like, no, I'm tough, and blah, blah. That's the reality of little children sometimes. Some little kids, I'm sure, whiny fucking brats, but depending on the kid, you know. But it's just like this cartoon image of a little baby that's just totally 100% helpless, totally, like, has no shame, just totally just like, I'm whiny and annoying and and I'm helpless, I can't even stand up by myself, and blah, blah, blah. But they only have girls doing that. They never have guys doing it because, oh, if a guy does it, it's too embarrassing. Like, it's not embarrassing when a girl does it. It's fucking embarrassing as hell and a shame to our entire race. But whatever, you know. But anyways, clearly, I was just trying to fill a void with this story, even though now, looking back on it, it's fucking stupid and disgusting, honestly, to a point. But it probably honestly turned me on and helped me, like, get out some of my, like, anger at the world or something. Like, my angst, you know, if you will. At the time when I wrote it, because I was 23, this is 2013, I'm pretty sure. Maybe 2012, but I'm pretty sure it's 2013. And I was pretty fucking angsty back then. That was an angsty year. Not as bad as 2011 or 2012, but those years were so miserable that I don't think I was writing anything. Or maybe I did. I have to find something from that time, because those were bad years. Those were, like, years that were so bad that it was just, like, silent bad. Like, can't even communicate type of bad. Just, like, waiting for your grave type of bad. But once life started to turn up a little bit, I could write again. 2013, I got my good-ass job. but I was still like trying to become, I don't know, to learn how to be happy again, I guess, whatever. And I had a lot of angst, so I'm guessing this story was doing double duty in kind of like an angst journal, emotion catcher type of thing, but also filling a void of like, hey, I'm seeing all this straight porn with all these whiny, annoying, like, adult baby women, but no adult baby men. Why is that? I like gay porn. I want adult baby men. I want men to be doing all this stupid, ridiculous, retarded shit that the women do. Why is there none of that? I'll write it myself. So, yeah. Enough said. Okay. That was the end of chapters 1 and 2. Next time we will read Enid, chapter 3, Enid, and see what kind of more, I'm sure there will be more crying and screaming and struggling and more people being slapped by Captain Robert E. Lee and chasing around and him calling them all whores and possibly some waterboarding or some spanking maybe. I don't even know. I don't even know what's gonna go down. We're gonna see. I remember actually this one character, Goldie, that got mentioned in there. He came to the farm because he was going to be, he was in, like, apparently one of those old-fashioned nut houses. They were gonna, like, electrocute him, you know, and all that shit, you know? The old stereotype. It's so funny these days. I'm sure it wasn't funny. I mean, it's just, you know how some things are just funny because they're so horrible and because it's, like, they just seem like they're from the past or something. It just seems kind of, like, far away, you know? I mean, I'm sure it still goes on somewhere today, but it's just not as prevalent anymore, you know? I don't think we're totally safe from being electrocuted under pretense of being crazy. I just know it's less common now, but I'm not gonna be blind to the horrors of the world. I'm sure it still happens. I'm sure it still happens, probably even within the United States, but if not elsewhere. I'm sure it still happens. I'm sure somebody is being electrocuted today. But, yeah. We'll see. Well, I just remember that. I remember that came back to me when I read that part about Goldie. I remember that when the captain was threatening to send them back where they came from, I remember something about, there's a line in there where they say, like, do you want to go back to having your brain zapped out or something, some shit like that to Goldie? So, yeah, let's have fun next time. Bye.